I don't like when people jump on Jerry Rice for his post-49ers career.
Okay.
They try to say, oh, they laugh about his time in Oakland. It's very short-sighted. You have to remember that when he left San Francisco, he goes to Oakland and lit it up with the Raiders.
Right.
I'm talking 1,100 yards and 9 touchdowns, 1,200 yards and 7 touchdowns. Him and Tim Brown were unstoppable. I remember this interview with Keyshawn Johnson did once, and he was talking about how good he and Keenan McCardell were. He's like, who are you going to say is better than us in the league? Maybe Jerry and Tim in Oakland, but we're the next best. He gave him credit like that. If you want to send us the not new jerseys for Jerry Rice, send us a Jerry Rice Seahawks jersey, fine. Send us a Jerry Rice Broncos jersey, fine. Send us Jerry Rice in the chicken helmet, fine. But do not send us an Oakland Raiders Jerry Rice because he was awesome. They rode him to a Super Bowl. Rich Gannon MVP. That was not a bomb. He is the greatest ever. Cash me outside. How about that? Oakland Raiders Jerry Rice. Great signing. You seen the video?
Check the video.
Check the video. Amazing tweet.
When did you see that video? A day before he did?
Months ago. I remember. I watched Dr. Phil, so I was actually the guy who put it online the first time.
You launched it live.
I launched it. Yeah, that's me. How about that?
I'm gonna go. How about that? I'm gonna go with a similar one as Kyle here, where Jerry Rice is best known for his 49ers years, but he had a really good second career with the Raiders. For me, I look at a guy that I think a lot of people wrote off. Kurt Warner. He went from the Rams to the Giants. He's benched for Eli Manning, and everyone kind of says, all right, Kurt Warner, he's now a backup. This is Kurt Warner Giants years. It wasn't pretty. They won 5 of their first 7 games. Then he's benched, and Eli takes over. And almost on a lark, the Cardinals signed him to a low minimum deal almost to bring him into battle with Josh McCown in 2005. And what happens once Kurt Warner goes to the Cardinals? He's amazing. I mean, they draft Matt Leinart in the first round. Everyone crowns Matt Leinart. Denny Green crowns Matt Leinart. Ken Wisenhunt takes over as the coach, and it's like, I can't in good faith start Matt Leinart when Kurt Warner is out playing him in practice every single day. So then Kurt Warner in his late 30s, playing for next to nothing, outdoes the first-round pick and takes this team to a Super Bowl, and they're a couple plays away, and a freak catch by Santonio Holmes from Kurt Warner winning another Super Bowl almost 11 years later, 10 years later after winning his first. So the Cardinals, they actually re-signed him. He got a huge deal the second time around. But Kurt Warner, going from being Rams, wonderful MVP, all this stuff, to kind of the backup in New York and then the backup in Arizona, then to finally get it back. That's the coolest part about Kurt Warner's career, how he revitalized it all in Arizona and took them to a Super Bowl. Their only Super Bowl ever for the Cardinals.
It's a great one. It's a great one.
Now, let's take you back to 98. Let's go to the draft. 98 draft, number 4 overall, Charles Woodson to the Oakland Raiders. At this time, Charles Woodson was the closest thing, in my opinion, to Deion Sanders. I mean, he was fantastic in Michigan, Heisman, doing everything that he could do to kind of captivate everybody defensively. Hasn't been a defensive guy, I think, that was as popular as Charles Woodson was coming in a long time. So all the eyes were on him, and he was making plays. And then all of a sudden he leaves Oakland. I thought, well, what's going on? How could you leave a place like that where you're so beloved? And he goes and plays for Green Bay, which me being an NFC North guy, I didn't like because I didn't want Green Bay to get any better.
Of course, especially at that position.
Especially at that position. And then 4 years later, they win the Super Bowl. 2010, Charles Woodson. He's one of those guys that really transcended the position because he was a shutdown corner. And then when he went to Green Bay, I remember playing against him, and I'm thinking, why is he everywhere on the field? And then as we're doing our scouting report, he's playing safety, he's playing free safety, he's playing strong. He was outside linebacker, had his hand on the ground. He was playing nickelback, which means if you're a receiver, you're a tight end, you're a running back, you're going to see Charles Woodson all over the field. And you're looking at these highlights, he did just that. So for me, when they signed Charles Woodson, people thought, oh, maybe he's headed towards the end of his career because he's changing positions. We're talking about Revis, maybe playing safety. Charles went from corner to safety and was a Pro Bowl safety, which blew my mind. So for a team looking for a need, fulfilling a need, and going out and finding Charles Woodson, I love that pickup. I think that was one of the best of all time because not only did Charles Woodson play well, but they ended up getting a Super Bowl because they had one of the best defensive players to ever play in this game.
Let's go back to 2011.
Hey, now.
Shall we? Let's
roll.
Let's go back to when Peyton Manning was with the Colts, elite quarterback. In the offseason, he undergoes the neck surgery. He has the spinal fusion surgery. Does not play that entire next season. And then the Colts release him because they know Andrew Luck's on the docket. They want to grab him. Is he going to play again? What's his story going to look like? I remember being sad. I remember being like, this is a bad ending. The Denver Broncos signed him in 2012 to replace Tim Tebow, who was like fan favorite, height of Tim Tebow. He ends up doing well, winning Comeback Player of the Year. To me, this was the best free agent signing because it was him coming back for missing a year with neck and spinal surgery, guys. Unbelievable. And then 2013, of course, wins his 5th league MVP, breaks the single-season passing record, leads the Bronco to Super Bowl appearance. Didn't work out so great, but the next year ends his career hoisting that Lombardi Trophy. What could be better?
It's true. And, Kate, the fact that you mentioned that Tebow thing, a global sensation where fans were chanting Tebow, and John Elway said, no, we're getting Peyton Manning.
It took me a while to think, who's the quarterback on the striker? Who did he take
Isn't
over
that funny?
Tebow.
Timothy Richard
The story
Tebow.
goes, there's only one quarterback in the NFL they could possibly replace Tebow with and not have a firestorm in Denver, and they got him. It was Peyton Manning.
I heard those chants. I played in Denver. I heard those Tebow chants. They were coming from outside the stadium.
We're missing a couple here, though, right?
We are.
The Drew Brees one?
I think we'd be remiss to say Drew Brees leaving San Diego, going to New Orleans, revitalizing that entire city, winning the Super Bowl a few years later, being the MVP. Drew Brees, because the story goes, Nick Saban brings him into Miami, and Nick Saban's like, this is the guy. I want him. Free agent. They got Phillip Rivers. We're going to sign Drew Brees. The doctors do about a 10-hour examination on his shoulder, and they're like, we can't do this. Sean Payton takes a ride around New Orleans for 5 minutes and says, you want to come? And Drew Brees basically says, yeah, sure, let's do it. Signs it. They're in the Super Bowl the next year. They win it. Few years later.
7 million yards later.
And we're forgetting, of course, Chicago signing Mike Lennon, right? He goes, revitalizes that whole city, wins the Super Bowl. John Fox took a drive around the city, said, you want to do this? Mike Lennon said yes. Because it's been a long time, and I'm underwhelmed by the talent of Mike Lennon, the performance. You really have to ask why I'm skeptical of Mike Lennon.
Cordell Stewart didn't make that list either.
No.